Welcome to Townsend 909, or welcome back if you're new to this, or if you know this channel. Me and Briars from Briars Music Showcase will be battling it out with these two awesome Queen albums. Also, great news, it is John Deacon's birthday. Yeah, I didn't look up how old he was, but I heard it was his birthday, and I'm like, oh, um, John Deacon, really? I didn't know that
Yeah.
because I posted because there's a Queen Discord server, and I joined in. And I posted a John Deacon song from Jazz, in only 7 days,
Yeah, that's a great one.
and I'm like John Deacon, and they're like, oh, happy birthday, John Deacon. I'm like,
Yeah, this is great. I mean, John's like my favorite bass player, so yeah, it's always nice to celebrate him.
he's like my second or third favorite bassist.
Mm,
My favorite bassist is John Entwistle from the
right.
Halo.
Yeah.
John Deacon is,
Which John was heavily influenced by Entwistle.
yeah. So great artist being influenced by another. Plus, I just found out he's 72 years old and he's still alive, which is amazing.
Yeah, he was the youngest of the group.
Yeah.
Well, he is the youngest.
So, well, first problem that we're already facing with is that this album has 12 tracks and the other has 10 tracks. And so me and Briar agreed on getting rid of Sweet Lady from the first side, and we're also getting rid of the instrumental British anthem on the second side because let's be honest, if we're gonna say which is better, Tio Toriate or God Save the Queen, that's gonna be an easy choice for us.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you which songs it is now if you're not familiar with the album. Also, if you have never heard the albums before, check them out. They're amazing
Exactly.
albums. Definitely albums you got to check out before you pass away. Like
Right.
if I had to make a big list of albums you have to listen to, those two are definitely, these Queen albums are definitely essential, for sure. First track, "Death on Two Legs" from Night the Opera versus "Tie Your Mother Down."
Hmm.
Very right off the bat, we're already faced with the two amazing tracks from each
Yeah.
album.
Yeah. Both are terrific opening tracks to open the album. Um, but yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with Death on Two Legs. I just love that piano build up, and then the guitars start to come in. It gets kind of freaky when you first hear especially when I first heard Death on Two Legs. It was kind of like, what's happening? And then finally, when it subsides and goes back to the piano, then it has again the guitar riff and the piano just work really well with each other. And I just love Freddie's like biting, very very like brutal lyrics to the song. Tie Your Mother Down is another great song. Again, has a great build up as well with a great guitar riff. But yeah, I think Death on Two Legs just has something a bit extra for me. So I'll go with Death on Two Legs for me.
I agree. I definitely agree with you on that. When I first heard of Night the Opera, so many people were like, "Oh, Queen's so much better than the Beatles." Blah blah blah. And you know what? Let's hear a Queen album. I gotta see why the Beatles are just. I mean, why Queen's just so much better than the Beatles. Right away, I'm already just like, dang.
Mm,
When I first heard the song, I'm like, dang, I'm in for a amazing album, and this has become one of my favorite Queen songs in general. My little brother's second favorite song on the album.
nice. Yeah. Very cool.
Great, great deep cut on the album. Okay, this one's gonna be. Can you do an album comparison with Mardi Gras and Summer in Paradise?
Um, well, we're gonna have to
Not on
re-listen
this
to both
video.
albums again.
I mean, we could
Please
do a
don't
video
torture
right
me,
after.
please.
I mean, we could do a video right after if you want to get Briar just to get it over with.
Maybe another time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as I was gonna say, this next battle is gonna be easy. I mean, in my opinion, it's gonna be easy. Lazy on a Sunday afternoon versus You Take My Breath Away.
Mm, yeah, I mean it's yeah, it's. I mean they're both very vastly different songs. With "You Take My Breath Away" is the slow piano ballad. It's just Freddie on vocals mainly. But then you have "Lazy on a Sunday Afternoon" with this, which is this kind of very Broadway, very theatrical, almost like old timey sort of sound. So and it's only like a minute long, so kind of hard to compare these two. But yeah, I don't know. For me, that was actually kind of tough. I know it's probably easy for you, but I think by a hair because I love them both for different reasons. Um, I might have to go with. Yeah, I'm gonna go with "Lazy on a Sunny Afternoon" for me. I just like the quirkiness of it. And funny enough, I've listened to this song way more than "You Take My Breath Away." Funny enough, which again, both songs are fantastic, but yeah, I just like the quirkiness of "Lazy on Sunday Afternoon," and it's a good transitional track into the third song. So yeah, this might be a very unpopular choice, but yeah, I'm going with "Lazy on Sunday Afternoon."
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with "You Take My Breath Away." Well, if you really ask me, I think on its own, "Lazy on a Sunday Afternoon" is a brilliant track.
Mm.
It may not be technically brilliant, but it's just the way that Freddie sings it, and it was definitely a standout when I first heard it the first time on A Night at the Opera. It was on its own, it's brilliant, and even going side to side, it's still a great track. But
Mm-hmm.
you know that beginning section where Freddie Mercury is just harmonizing with the band at the beginning,
Yeah.
acapella, and then just a beautiful ballad, and then the way it ends, where it just kind of stops, and then just like the vocals, just like take it, and then it's like take my breath away, and then it just
Yeah.
sort of ends, and I'm just like
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
when I first heard that, I'm just like, wow, like I still to this day it gives me goosebumps to this very day. Like very few songs by very few artists can do that, where it could just give me goosebumps every time I listen to it. And whenever I listen to that song, it just always gives me a chill, like oof,
Mm.
just that feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a brilliant song. And compare that to this song, which is a great song, but you know, basically what I just said before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's a funny little competition. I'm in love with my car when you put my hands on your grease gun. Versus Along the Way, the
It's actually
Brian
kind
May.
of kind of a cool comparison because both these songs, Freddie's not singing lead. You have Roger singing "I'm in Love with My Car" and Brian singing "Long Away." Um, this one was kind of easy. Again, both songs are great, but I'm gonna go with "I'm in Love with My Car." I mean, lyrically, it's really stupid, but it's just singing about a guy in love with his car. But I don't know. It's like I think when I first heard it, I didn't care for it, but it's a song I've kind of grown to love more as time has gone on because Roger Taylor just has a very cool voice. He just has that great rock voice. And Brian on Long Way, again, he has a great voice too. Definitely matches that song, but I kind of like the more hard rocking side of "I'm in Love with My Car," so I'm gonna go with that one.
That's totally fair. I'm gonna go with Long Away. Long Away just feels like, especially after You Take My Breath Away, this song just like right away, it's just like when I first heard this album, like, dang, like this is the follow up to A Night at the Opera. Like, you know, it's so good. And
Hmm.
even Jason agrees, Long Away. It's just a brilliant Paul McCartney esque track. And like I said with 39, it sounds like something that would have been a great. Actually, it would have been a it would have been a really it would if it was a Wink song, it would have been a really good B side for them.
Hmm.
Like, it sounds like something that would have been a B side for them.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, Along the Way. It's just a great track. The harmonizing, I just really like it. I love I'm in Love with My Car too. It's a great
Hmm.
song. Nothing to take away from it. When I first heard the song, I unironically I loved it the very first time.
Yeah.
It's the lyrics, and it's just so goofy, but I loved it. The way that he sings it with so much passion, like he actually is in love with this car.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. He's actually singing like he is actually in love with this car. I'm not like that, but every time I listen to the song, I think about the movie with the
Right.
you know, you call me sweet like I'm some kind of cheese. That's good.
It's good,
When
yeah.
I put my hands on your grease gun. Well, the lyric I just referenced with the "You call
The
me sweet like I'm some kind
metaphor,
of cheese."
Brian.
That's the sweet lady song that I got rid of. But whenever he says, he's like, when I put my hands on your, you call me sweet like I'm some kind of cheese. It's like that's good.
Yeah.
He's
And of
like,
course,
well,
we can't forget the story of Roger locking himself in the closet till it was the B
yes,
side to beat
hmm
Bohemian Rhapsody.
yep. He had the laugh there,
Yep.
and
Got his
got a
way.
lot of money from that.
Exactly.
Lots and lots of money.
Mm.
Good for him. Um, this one should be interesting. You're My Best Friend, the hit song off the album, well, one of the hit songs off the album, and The Millionaire's Waltz.
All right. Yeah, both are fantastic ones. And I'm going to give my first point to Day at the Races with the Millionaire Waltz. This is by one of my top 10 favorite Queen songs. This is pretty much this album's version of Bohemian Rhapsody because there's just so many different sections. You have the very waltzy beginning, and the opening has, I just love the piano opening, but it has one of John Deacon's big standout bass riffs, like how it's playing along with the piano. It's just like, I just that's a song I want to learn how to play on bass. It just sounds so good. But then once that's good, then you have a more quieter moment. But then there's a hard rock section, and then you have Brian May doing a great guitar solo, just playing to the waltz theme, which is fantastic. And then it comes full circle with it. Yeah, it's just a great standout song. One of their great deep cuts, in my opinion. So, and You're My Best Friend is definitely another John standout because this John did write this one, and it's a great love song to his wife, and, which I still love. Again, I love the piano, that kind of electric piano on the track, and great harmonies in that one. But I'm gonna give it to A Day at the Races for the Millionaire Waltz.
Yeah, uh, yeah, I agree. Uh, just a brilliant track. When I first heard it, I thought it was pretty good, but every listen just grows on me. And
Mm-hmm.
my favorite part is when it gets all hard rocking for a little bit,
Yeah,
and then it's like dun 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 da 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 da
yeah,
da da
yeah.
da da. Oh man! Like when I first heard it, I was just like, oh, "That's pretty good." But then, like every listen, I'm just like, "Man, this song impresses me every listen." Like if you would have asked me this like 2 or 3 months ago, what I would have thought, I would have probably said "You're My Best Friend." But yeah, this song really grows on me every listen, really. And of course, "You're My Best Friend's" a brilliant track, very operatic sounding. Not that, but John Deacon's birthday, like I just mentioned, and what a great John Deacon track,
Mm-hmm.
really good. Next track to me is unfair because this the one track is way better, but I really like the other track that I think is way better than. But 39, the Brian May song about going to space
Mm-hmm.
versus You and I.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a tough one, honestly, because yeah, like you said, I think both songs are really great for different reasons. So yeah, I mean, even though I'm a John fan, I think I'm gonna give this one to 39 by a hair. Again, I just like it's just a cool, very folky song. The lyrics are very interesting, singing about astronauts going to space, but then when they come back, 100 years had gone by, but they've only aged by 1 year. So all their friends and family are either dead or very old. So it's kind of a sad song, but it's kind of very interesting. Like, I mean, when's the last time you've heard a song like that? But then you have and you and I is another really good song. It's again John's song, another kind of love song, and again has some great moments too. But I think the interesting parts of 39 just outweigh You and I. And one last thing to mention, I just love the middle section where it's just like kind of a transitional section going from when they went up and they come down, you have, if you listen carefully, you hear Roger just giving this high harmony and just sing along to the melody, which is very cool. And he actually, you actually can find footage of him doing it live, which is just very cool. So yeah, I'm gonna give this to 39.
Yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, this is what I mean. Like I said, like I think 39 is way better than You and I, but
Mm,
you know, I think You and I is a really great song on the day of the races, and
yeah,
John Deacon's my favorite Queen member.
same here.
I've always what's up?
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm
I
always
think he's
a
my
John
favorite
fan.
member, but it just happens to be I prefer 39 a lot more than You and I.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame because I really love You and I. It's a
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean. It's a shame because I think 39 is way better, but I love You and I to death. So that just proves how great these albums are. Is when I think one song's way better, but I think the other song is just amazing too. Of course, next track on the album, the big hit off of Day at the Races. Well, first off, Seaside Rendezvous, the side closer on the Night at the Opera versus the second side opener, Somebody to Love.
This is kind of, to me, this was an easy one for me. It has to be Somebody to Love for me. I mean, it's another one of my favorite Queen songs ever. Yeah, and I love the gospel influence. I know Freddie was a huge fan of Aretha Franklin, so he wanted to incorporate that into the sound. I think it goes well, beautifully with their sound. And the harmony is just spectacular. Just very relatable lyrics. Again, Freddie's vocals, vocals on the track is just stunning, especially live, of course. But yeah, to me, it was kind of no comparison because even though Seaside Rendezvous is another very fun, another one of those kind of almost 1920s feel. And the production on that song is really cool as well, with they're using cymbals to simulate tap dancing. It's very cool. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to Somebody to Love.
I agree. For the longest time, this was my favorite Queen song, and
Mm,
it's just a great song. Basically, what you said for that, I was really considering it. I really love Seaside Rendezvous. Definitely a very lighthearted song. It's always fun to look at the history of this album because if this album wasn't a big success, they would have been in financial ruins and we would have
mm-hmm.
it basically been the end of Queen. And I love how like Freddie Mercury and this is just like Freddie Mercury and Roger Taylor, I believe, and it's fun to see that even though they're under high stakes and all that, Roger Taylor and Freddie Mercury still had a fun time making this track, and like even like through stress, you could still have a good time. And
Yeah.
I could definitely hear that Roger Taylor and Freddie Mercury having a fun time making this song, and yeah, it's a brilliant track on its own. But Somebody to Love, like, come on,
Yeah.
you know. Next battle is against two epic tracks by Brian May. A lot of people say that one of these tracks is the weakest song on this particular album, but I
Mm.
think it's one of the highlights on the album. But it's not a Night at the Opera track, which is the Prophet song. I'm talking about White Man.
All right.
Both tracks are epic on their own.
Yeah.
Uh, I think White Man is extremely underrated. I think both songs are extremely underrated. Both their epic songs written by Brian May.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of curious what you think is better.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, both Brian May tracks and both very good. But yeah, there's one I prefer, and to me, it has to go to the epic, the Prophet song for me. Um, just the immense epicness of that track, like it's just this is even it's the longest song on the album, and this also has very different sections to it. Like it has this almost medieval type of sound to it, which is very cool. Which of course the idea was based on a fever dream Brian had when he was sick. I can't remember what I can't remember if it was hepatitis or something like that, but I know he was very sick, hit with a fever, and he just dreamed up this idea of the prophet song, and it's just like very cool, great guitar riff, and even the section where Freddie's just a cappella and you have that delay. I've heard. I mean, there are people out there who think it goes on for too long. I don't agree to that. I love that section. It just sounds very cool. Then it goes back into the main riff. And it just brings it back full circle, which would eventually would slide into the next track, which we'll get to later. But yeah, the Prophet song is gonna be my next choice. I still really enjoy White Man. Again, it has a good lyrics dealing with colonization, with the American Indians and on that nature, which is definitely an important topic. But yeah, for me, it's always been the Prophet song for me.
Okay, before I even pick a song, I'm still very is I wasn't I listened to both albums. I listened to Night at the Opera on the way home, and I listened to A Day at the Races twice. I was played the album twice because I love the album so much. And well, the Prophet song is epic in its own unique way. It's like so drastically different from all the songs on the album. Even Bohemian Rhapsody, which Bohemian Rhapsody is its own masterpiece, and everyone knows that. But the Prophet song, it's like you like basically what you describe. It's like the medieval feel, and then you have that epic operatic, not that operatic, that a cappella section with the delayed vocals. That
Mhm.
part always gets me,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just so freaking epic, and the way it ends, which like boom, and it's like you hear the acoustic, like the guitar, and then the way it just sort of ends, and it goes into love of my life. It's just brilliant. It always gets me, and I love that track a lot. Now, White Man, it starts off slow. I'm a simple man with a simple name, and the way it just sort of builds up, and then it's just like what man, that song is very heavy, the theme of it, the lyrics, and the way it just ends was like, oh, your skin and bones, and there's like and then it goes into good old fashioned lover boy,
Mhm.
which is drastically different
Oh
from
yeah.
that song. Could it be more drastically? Well, I mean, I love both songs. Like both two epic Brian May songs go into like two songs that are like completely drastically different from each other.
Yeah.
And I love how he just talks about like all that stuff about the Indians, and then just drastically goes into good old fashioned lover boy, which I'll get into that song. But it's just a great song, White Man. But if I had to pick, I'm gonna have to go with the Prophet song. You
Mhm.
know, my easily one of the best tracks off of A Night at the Opera. I think I said in my video, not in my video. I posted a comment on the you had a video favorite song from each Queen album.
Mhm.
I said this was interchangeable between this song or 39.
Mhm.
I still feel that way. So yeah, what a fantastic track. Both amazing tracks. It was to me it was extremely difficult because both are just epic Brian May written tracks. He's my second favorite Queen member in terms of writing, and
Mhm.
vocally too is my second favorite member. Freddie Mercury obviously has to me is my favorite vocalist, but in my opinion, in terms of writing, I think Brian May always had that extra step over him. In my opinion, that is.
Yeah, he was always more of that hard rock, proggy type of guy.
Yeah, he always written none of that, but I always feel like Freddie Mercury was hit or miss. Like either he has really great songs, like "We Are the Champions," "Bohemian Rhapsody," or he writes songs like "Get Down, Make Love." So you know, yeah. Um, Next track of the album, uh, "Love of My Life" versus "Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy."
Yeah, yeah, they're kind of the same, but very different. But yeah, both Freddie songs. Um, yeah, this was sort of a hard choice because I really love both songs, and yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna go with "Love of My Life." Again, it was written for Mary Austin. And you can feel that love and passion in his lyrics and how he sings it, and just the piano work on here, and all the other stuff added included as well. It's just so beautiful, very emotional. So I'm always a sucker for those types of songs. So Love of My Life is gonna be my pick. But yeah, good old fashioned Lover Boy. It's kind of goofy, not quite goofy, but definitely more lighthearted. Definitely definitely very upbeat. And actually, I can actually play a little bit on bass. It's a fun song to play along with. But yes, I'm gonna go with Love of My Life for me.
Well, you know how you had the unpopular opinion with Lazy on a Sunday afternoon with that song?
Mm.
Now it's my turn to have the unpopular opinion.
All right, cool.
Yeah, good old
I mean,
fashioned Lover
I'm
Boy.
not mad. I'm not mad because again,
Yeah,
both songs are great.
yeah. It's not like we're doing like if it was like jazz against News of the World and we're doing like Get Down Make Love versus like In Only 7 Days, and I'm like, yeah, Get Down Make Love is way better
I mean,
than
I would agree with that too. I would go with in only 7 days as well.
exactly. So if I'm like, oh yeah, Get Down Make Love is way better, then I'd be frustrated. I would see if you were frustrated. But both are just great songs. I love Love of My Life, amazing ballad. Whenever I think of Love of My Life, I think about that scene in Bohemian Rhapsody. Even though that scene is completely made up, because the scene was showing a concert where 300,000
Right.
people
Yeah.
in there. Even though
Mm-hmm.
that was like way after
Mm-hmm.
that scene. I like the way he was trying to go for is that like him showing the way he was feeling at that time, and when he came out in '76 to you know and yeah, what a great song, The Love of My Life. But good old fashioned Lover Boy always puts me in a great mood. The way Freddie Mercury sings it is great. I think, my opinion, I think this is his best song in ter- not on compared to these two albums. Like his best vocal was on the Prophet song. If I'm comparing it to these two albums,
Mm.
but if I had to pick my favorite vocal on any of these songs, I'd say "Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy" is my favorite vocal by Freddie Mercury. That's my opinion, though.
Yeah.
But that song goes into "Drowse," which is going up against "Good Company."
All right. Yeah, another pair up with non-Freddie songs. So you have Brian on Good Company and Roger on Drowse. And I'm gonna give my next point to Date the Races with Drowse. I mean, I like Good Company. I've always liked it. I always thought it was cool. Have Brian just doing this whole horn band with just his guitar, just trying to get his guitar to mimic certain sounds, which I've always thought was kind of cool. And, has a ukulele in it, which I actually played ukulele for a little bit, so that brings me back. But I think Drowse is just, I think, one of the most definitely a really underrated gem on this album. This is definitely one to me one of Roger's most underrated songs. I just love the feel of it. It's not too heavy, it's not too upbeat, but it just has this kind of very cool vibe that's very it's hard to describe, but I've always liked the vibe to it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Drowse.
Yeah, I agree. I've never been the biggest fan of Good Company. Oh, I mean do that. Yeah, I've never been the biggest fan of Good Company.
Mm.
That song was always a weaker song. Yeah, like honestly, any of the songs from A Day at the Races could have easily taken Good Company. So even a lot of the songs on A Night at the Opera would have taken Good Company easily. So, but I still love Good Drowse though. Like you said, it's a really great deep cut on the album. But yeah, it was, in my opinion, a very easy choice.
Yeah.
This next one is gonna, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying
Mhm.
this, but I'll let you. Obviously, I know you're gonna pick for this next battle, but the last track on the album, Bohemian Rhapsody. Well, technically, God Save the Queen was, but I already established in the beginning of the video we weren't gonna do that. But Bohemian Rhapsody versus Brian May's love tribute to Japan, Tio Toriate.
Well, yeah, you thought correctly. Yeah, I'm not gonna be too surprising, but yeah, my pick is gonna be Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah, I mean, is it overplayed? Possibly. but to me, I still really love it. It's just like you just can't deny just how important that song was, not just for the band, but just for music in general, especially pop music, because this was something no one heard before in terms of pop music at the time. But yeah, just iconic opening lines. Is this real life? Is this just fantasy? Just have Freddie, just him, just singing, harmonizing with himself. Then you get to the main ballad section with the piano, and you have Brian's most iconic solos. Then you have the operatic section with all the band with Brian, Roger, and Freddie just harmonizing with one another. Just so epic. And then you get the hard rock section with the iconic riff, and then it comes back to the more ballad by the end, and you have to find it. Then you have the iconic closing with "Any Way the Wind Blows" with the gong. Just yeah, it has. Yeah, to me, it was kind of a no brainer. Teo Day, like that's another fantastic. That's another like very underrated song in their catalog. I love Teo Day, and of course, it's dedicated to their Japanese fans. Of course, I'm known as the J-pop fan here, so I love my Japanese stuff as well. But yeah, to me, it was kind of no contest. It had to be Bohemian Rhapsody, even though it's not my absolute favorite Queen song of all time. Yeah, I just had to choose it. So yeah, that's my pick.
To me saying I'm gonna say Tio Toriate is the winner, but it wasn't a no brainer. I'm not gonna say like, duh, like Bohemian
Yeah.
Rhapsody sucks. No, I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna factor in two things. One, I just love the fact that they would sing Japanese. I always
Yeah.
thought that was cool of them, like
Mm-hmm.
to learn different languages for just for a fan base that was
Mm-hmm.
just for a fan base. That to me that just
Yeah,
shows
they were
how
huge in Japan.
that just shows how much they love their Japanese fans that they would learn Japanese. Some people might be like, "Nah, that's just them doing the bare minimum." Nah, that just shows how dedicated they were to their fan base. Like don't get me wrong, I love the Beatles to death, but have you ever heard a Beatle song where they're singing a different language to as I know there's those two German songs, but
Mm-hmm.
them singing a different language to show their gratitude to a fan base. I haven't heard any Beatles songs like that, but to me that just shows how versatile Queen was in their deep cuts. And yeah, don't get me that's one factor is just the sheer dedication to that song. And two, I've heard Bohemian Rhapsody a little too much, and that sort of brings the song down a little bit, just a little bit, just a tiny bit. It's not like Stairway to Heaven where I could just never listen to it again, but
Mm.
it does bring the value to the song a little down because of it. But yeah, those are my two main factors of it. I'm not saying Bohemian Rhapsody is a bad song. I love it.
Of
It's a
course.
great song,
Yeah.
but you know, does it really have to be played a million times? No. But yeah, so I kept tally. Briars has A Night at the Opera winning at 7-3. Mine was the complete opposite. I said The Day at the Races win at 7-3. So
Oh wow. Cool.
yeah,
Kind of flip
it's like
flop.
the
We kind
complete
of flip
opposite.
flop. Yeah.
Now I was counting the ones that Jason was participating in, and I'm assuming he would say, well, the ones that I did see was booking a Night at the Opera wins 5-3.
Mm.
So yeah, I'll, I'm curious, Jason. Do you like Tie Your Mother Down or Death on Two Legs? Because just curious.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna predict Tie Your Mother Down.
Yeah, that was more of a hit than Death on Two Legs. And then Droughts versus Good Company.
Hmm.
Just curious because Tie Your Mother Down. Okay.
If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Night Day at the Races is Jason's favorite.
I thought it was Jazz.
Maybe it's either Jazz or Day of the Races. One of those two.
Drowse. Okay, so Jason has it tied 5-5.
Oh
That
wow.
is that's cool. So I have a clear winner. Briar has a clear winner, and Jason is middle on it. So yeah,
Just goes to show you can't really go wrong with either album.
exactly. Uh, I definitely would want to do a Queen album ranking with you someday, Briar.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean,
Whether it be
yeah,
next week
I
or
probably. I mean, yeah, I probably need to update that original Queen ranking I did way back in the day. It's probably
yeah,
due for an update.
yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I'm good.
Great list, great list. Jazz, A Day at the Races, and The Night at the Opera. Jazz,
Okay, yeah. So I was right. It was Day of the Races is over at Night at the Opera, but yeah, Jazz is number one. Yeah, but yeah,
yeah.
Jazz is a good pick. A very underrated album.
I'm not gonna spoil a lot of what my list would be, but my top three would be Sheer Heart Attack at number three, A Day at the Races at number two. Like I said, it could arguably be my favorite Queen album, and my number one spot would be The Works. But who knows? I'm planning on doing a deep discog dive on it and doing a ranking video on it with you, of course, because you're the ultimate Queen. Like I consider you be like if I didn't meet you, I would consider myself the ultimate Queen fan. But you're a bigger Queen fan than I have. You like albums that I'm not crazy about. Like I think you like The Miracle a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I do like The Miracle quite a bit.
I think it's I think it's a very uninspired album. But
That's fair. That's what most people will say.
yeah, some Queen fans might be like, "Oh, you don't like that album," and I'm like, "But I love all their other albums, though." Like
Yeah.
their first five albums, are amazing. You know, the way I look at it though, whenever I do Queen versus the Beatles, is that I look at it as like it's like, what do I think of the first five albums versus the Beatles' first five albums? Like, if someone was like, "Yeah, you can never listen to the first five Beatle albums again," of course I'll be upset, but I wouldn't be nearly as upset if I was told never to listen to the first five Queen albums again.
Mm,
Queen one, Queen two, which
yeah.
is Sheer Heart Attack, A Day at the Races, and The Night at the Opera. If you told me never to listen to those five albums again, would not be happy at all. So
Yeah,
that's
same
kind
here.
of how I look at it. I will say I prefer the Beatles hits over Queen's hits, but when I go into the albums, I've always had a tiny. I've always preferred the Queen deep cuts better
Hmm.
because I feel like the Queen's deep cuts go a little bit more crazier, a little bit more
Yeah.
experimental.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
My little brother had a good point too. He's like, my little brother's like, I told him he's like, oh, this sounds like it could have been a single. I'm like, even my little brother said is that like the Beatles album cuts always sound like they could have been singles, which that could be a good thing on its own, but you know they all not. I wouldn't say the Beatles songs sound the same. Not even close because the Beatles
Yeah.
have went
Right.
down some uncommercial roads, with songs on Revolver and the Sgt. Peppers and especially on the White Album, but if you really look into it, Queen really was very adventurous in their deep
Yeah.
cuts.
I would always think that Queen took what the Beatles started and kind of advanced it a little bit more. Because I
Yes.
know, because I know they were, because I know Queen were huge Beatles fans. The Beatles was like their Bible, and so they kind of took what the Beatles started, and then they kind of ran with it and went even further.
Yeah. Like some things that the Beatles never did was jazz, which, I'm not talking about the album jazz, but the song My Melancholy Blues, like I've never heard a Beatles song anything like that. So, and then there's, Sheer Heart Attack, which is that epic punk song. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things the Beatles done that I'm very impressive, but there's a lot of things that Queen has done that I think was a little more impressive. But
Mm-hmm.
you definitely hit the nail on the head there with like the Beatles, can't think of it right now. The Beatles, paved the way, which
Yeah.
you can even though me and you were both bigger Queen fans. We could both admit that the Beatles, like they made the road, like they stamped down the road, but
Yeah,
Queen
definitely.
started to walk on it and build more things on it. So
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm explaining that right.
No, yeah, I totally get you. I totally get you. I mean, one final thing, kind of going back to the Beatles, I did watch a small clip of an interview Paul McCartney did, and I think they were asking what his thoughts on Queen was, and he has respect. He respected them. He just definitely respected Freddie, but I could get the impression maybe he thought they were a bit too campy for him. So I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like he didn't outright say he didn't like them, but you can tell he wasn't the greatest fan. But he definitely still has great respect for them, what they were doing.
Yeah, I'm not saying Beatles didn't have any variety. They have tons of variety.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
I also think Queen has a lot of variety too.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I couldn't really tell you which I if you told me I can never listen to the Beatles or I can never listen to the Queen, I'll probably never listen to the Beatles again, probably because I listen to them a lot. But I can't be like, oh, the Beatles are overrated. Because there's people who are like, oh, the Beatles are overrated, blah blah
Yeah,
blah. And I'm
yeah,
like, I can never see that because
yeah.
the
Same.
Beatles did so much great music. Both as a band and both as solo artists.
Mm-hmm.
They all did. Like, I will say, if I never listened to Queen's solo records again, I wouldn't be too upset about that. But if you
Right.
told me never
Yeah.
to listen to All Things Must Pass or Band on the Run, I couldn't do that because both are, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and George Harrison have great solo albums. So I'm not saying like he is. I know people. I knew this kid in class in my grade who despised the Beatles, and I could still never see that. I'll never dislike the Beatles. I love the Beatles. They're very kind of the first band I've ever listened to. So I'll never take that away from them. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Definitely had one experience with a Beatles hater. I can't remember if I told you. I told you this. I think I told Jason. I told Adam. I think Garrett was there at one point too. But yeah, I knew this person. We were at this like event, kind of like this party thing, and then we were just chatting and we were talking about music, and I think I brought up the Beatles, and this person says, "Oh yeah, the Beatles, they suck," just outright said they sucked, and I didn't say it out loud, but but in my head I was just looking, and in my head I wanted to go, just wanted to look at him, just like what, but I didn't, but we changed the subject, so yeah, that was my first time encounter with a Beatles hater. And ironically, I would find out later from another friend that this person had a crush on me. So that was kind of like, well, because you said that to the Beatles, you kind of blew your chance there.
Yeah, it's like those videos where like they're a 10, but he's a 10, but or she's a 10, but like
Yeah.
if someone's like she's a 10, but she hates the Beatles, and I'm like, no, -1, -10.
Yeah. Right.
No, you can't simply hate the Beatles. It's impossible. Like, you know, especially with Queen, you definitely can't hate Queen.
Hmm.
You could be tired of their hits, but
Yeah.
yeah. I would have the biggest shock on my face. I'd probably walk away from the. Me too, honestly, Jason. Me too. Me too. I couldn't. I couldn't. I
Well,
couldn't.
if it means anything, I haven't talked to this person in a couple years now, so I have no idea what they're up to.
Who knows? Probably still hate. Either they're still hating on the Beatles, or maybe they changed their ways. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Of course, I think this person was more of a punk guy, and that's kind of a notorious thing that a lot of punk people don't like things like the Beatles or stuff like that. So that might have been it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do not like punk. So no. Oh man, I can't imagine someone saying like, "Oh yeah, punk's so much better than the Beatles." No, I can't think of that. But yeah, Beatles were great. I mean, they were brilliant. I was I sent it on the group chat already, and that the Queen has a Discord server.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that, and I think I saw that I think they shared that on Twitter or X, as what it's now called, but I think they shared that at one point.
I dated the daughter of a pastor once, and he didn't like the Beatles.
Oh.
Yeah, and I knew a person who's really old, like really old, that would have been an Elvis Presley fan
Oh
that
yeah.
hated the Beatles. He's like, oh, they ruined American pop, blah blah blah. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
That seems to be a
you think
thing with
that?
every generation.
If you like kind of music, except it was worship music. Yeah. I mean, there was kind of a worshipy song by Queen called Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. That's a yeah. That's probably my least favorite on my least favorite regular song on Queen One.
I can see that.
I mean, uh, Seven Seas Arise, the weakest song on Queen One,
Yeah. Well,
because
yeah. At least
it's
on the first album
yeah,
is.
yeah. Queen Two though, what a great album that was.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
definitely a fan favorite though. My dad told me Rolling Stones fans and Beatles fans don't get along. Yeah, definitely. They had this huge Well, technically, the Beatles didn't have a huge rivalry. They were
Yeah,
friends,
no, they were good
really.
chums. Just the
Hello.
maybe. Hello.
Yeah, we just got done with the Day of the Races versus A Night at the Opera. I'm not going to tell you who won or what I think is better or what Briar thinks is better, but definitely check out the video if you haven't. But yeah, Rolling Stones was a great album band. Don't get me wrong, but they couldn't touch the Beatles in my opinion.
Yeah, no. I'd say I'm still a Beatles fan than a Rolling
Yeah.
Stones fan.
I actually do like the Beatles. Some people might watch my videos and be like, "Oh, he hates the Beatles. Oh, he hates them." Because like some people like when I say like, "Oh, I think this is better. This band's better than music." Oh, he hates the Beatles. Oh, I know you and I know Jason doesn't think that, but there are some diehard Beatle fans who are gonna think that. Who's like, "Oh, I hate the Beatles. Oh, he sucks." But I think the Rolling Stones couldn't touch the Beatles in terms of creativity. The Rolling Stones have some really great albums, but none of them were nearly as good as some of the Beatles albums, like Revolver or Rubber Soul.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, but Sheer Heart Attack, that album cover with Brian May looking like this one person described each band member on the album. Roger Taylor trying to look gorgeous, and this person in parentheses saying accomplishing that really good. And then like Freddie Mercury being Freddie Mercury,
Yeah.
John Deacon looking like he's just looking up in the skies, and then like with Brian May, it's like, oh, Brian May looks like he's having a sheer heart attack on the album cover.
Yeah.
I always thought that was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Yeah, I always thought that was funny though. With that, I forgot where that comment was. I don't know if it's on the Queen song or if it's on the album because there's videos of full albums by Queen, and I don't know. I forgot where, but I always thought that was funny where they were describing each of the band members how they looked, and it was like Brian May having an actual sheer heart attack. I mean, he actually does look like he's having a heart attack.
Yeah, pretty much.
But he was like kind of sick around that time. So yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite member of the Beatles was Ringo. He played the umbrella well.
He did.
Good reference.
Yeah.
Some people fans might not know. Well, not fans, but some people might not know what he's talking about. Oh, I agree. One of my faves ever. Yeah. I mean, like Roger Taylor plays the drums well, but
Yeah.
Well, let's see if Roger Taylor could play.
And let's admit, Roger Taylor is a better singer than Ringo.
I mean, yeah. Roger Taylor, like the thing about Roger Taylor and Brian May is that like they're awesome vocalists on their own, but They were just unfortunate to be in a band where they had just this elitist.
The greatest
vocalist.
singer in the band. So yeah.
Yeah. If they had their own bands, like if they were just separate bands, they would have made up pretty well. Like Roger Taylor's a great
Yeah.
songwriter.
Yeah,
Probably my least favorite songwriter.
I know Roger formed a band in the '80s. I think it was called The Cross, if I remember correctly, and yeah, it did pretty well for himself. And he
John
played
Deacon.
he played lead. He was like rhythm guitarist, but he didn't play the drums on live shows. But he would play guitar and he'd sing.
Yeah. Yeah, Roger Taylor's an epic vocalist. Brian May's a beautiful vocalist. I will say his vocal style is very, very McCartney-esque most of the time, but
Yeah, I definitely have a more softer approach.
I consider him to be the Paul McCartney of the group, of course. And Freddie Mercury to me would be the John Lennon of the group because he would bring out like some of his ideas that he would bring in the band, like get down. Like I will say, even I will say the band was the most versatile. I will say I think Queen's the most versatile band I've ever listened to, but a lot of it works, but then some of it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
You know, but you kind of expect that with that though. Like you can't please everyone with every single track. You know,
Right. Yeah.
Like for me, I think "Get Down, Make Love" is the worst Queen song, but maybe some person out there, pardon me, in the distant shores might think this is the Queen's best song. So that just shows.
I know they play that song live a lot.
Exactly. But that just shows how versatile Queen is. Is that like there's always going to be a Queen song for everyone, whether it be Bohemian Rhapsody, the big hit, 39 from like the same album, another one bites the dust, Under Pressure. Heck, if you're like me, when I first started Queen, even Hot Space could be your big thing. Like I'm not even I'm upset to admit this, but Hot Space was my favorite Queen album for the longest time.
Okay.
It really was. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that, but yeah, I loved Hot Space from the first time I listened to it. When I first found out that it was their most hated album, I'm like, what? This album is epic. What the heck?
Yeah.
What the heck, man?
Yeah, I definitely am. I definitely am a Hot Space apologist. I forget the word, but I don't know. But yeah, I definitely do enjoy Hot Space.
It's starting to break up a little bit.
Oh, I broke up a bit.
Yeah,
but as I was saying, yeah, I'm definitely a Hot Space stan, shall we say? I actually do quite enjoy Hot Space.
That's always good. Yeah, Hot Space is easily their most underrated album. Yeah, and even though this album's just hey, have you guys been friends for long? Almost been a year.
Almost a year.
Yeah, first time I ever met you was on the Who live stream.
Yeah, that was like November.
Yeah, I think we're going to be doing an update video on that.
Oh yeah, that should be fun.
Quadrophenia definitely went up on me. But yeah, Hot Space is a great album. Well, when we do our ranking video, we're gonna briefly go over this album. It's just a soundtrack album. Well, they had two soundtrack albums, but this one's really a soundtrack album. And fun fact, well, I know Briar's gonna know this fact, but they offered it to Pink Floyd.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They turned it down, and then they're like, "Hey, Queen, want to do this album?" And they're like, "Sure."
Yeah,
and,
I really can't picture Pink Floyd doing a sci-fi thing.
Yeah, Flash Gordon. To me, it sounds like if Queen was, it felt like Pink Floyd. No, it felt like Queen was trying to go for a Pink Floyd sound, not like Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, or The Wall. It felt like they were trying to go for more of a early Pink Floyd sound.
Yeah,
with the 80s sound.
I can hear that.
It sounds like if like an early Pink Floyd record was in the 80s, which I'm a fan of the early Pink Floyd sound, but an album full of instrumentals, and some of them, not really being that good. There's a song where Freddie Mercury's just doing this operatic, screaming almost with like
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
it's really,
ooh,
I really don't classify that soundtrack as part of the catalog, honestly. A part of the
yeah,
main catalog.
it definitely devalues Queen a little bit, in
Hmm.
my opinion. Like if they would have
I mean,
ended
if
on
I were to include that album, yeah, then yeah, that album would be last place.
yeah. Yeah, Pink Floyd and Queen are definitely different sounding bands, but on Flash Gordon, it sounds like like if Pink Floyd would have done the soundtrack, it would have been a great soundtrack. But my two biggest problems is that too, it's mostly instrumental. You know, people often really complain about that with the Yellow Submarine by the Beatles, but I actually quite like the instrumentals on Yellow Submarine. Some of them work. There are a couple of instrumentals on Flash Gordon I do quite like a bit, but I feel like this soundtrack would have been better if it was just Pink Floyd because
Hmm.
it suits Pink Floyd a lot better. The sci-fi theme, you know. But yeah, Made in Heaven is a decent album.
Hmm. I
I don't
like
hate
it.
it.
Yeah, I like it. I get what it's trying to do. You know, it's supposed to be like a little last, like a little epilogue shout to the catalog. But yeah, it has. I'll admit, there's definitely not some of their most memorable songs.
I will say it does have my favorite Queen song of all time. It is a song called "Yeah." Uh, it's brilliant. It is the
Oh
best.
yeah,
And
I can't get any deeper than yeah.
yep, that the part of the song where he just says "Yeah." Oh
Mm,
man,
man, I get
never
goosebumps
got
hearing
any
it.
better. And I especially love the part where it goes into a 20 plus minute instrumental track. Love
Uh-huh.
that. Love
Oh
it.
yeah, I love ambient music.
Oh man, like that's totally something that Queen should have done more often. Like screw Bohemian Rhapsody and the Prophet song. They should have just did a 20-minute instrumental on the Night at the Opera, you know. Would have really elevated the Night at the Opera, honestly.
Mm.
Matter of fact, they should have did that with every Queen album. You know what? I hate Queen now. I'm starting to really not like Queen anymore because they really missed their stride. In all seriousness, I don't hate Made in Heaven, but there are parts of it that make me
Yeah,
really,
right.
especially that 20 plus instrumental. I will never understand what went through their heads when they did
Yeah,
that.
I to me it was just giant filler just to fill the CD.
Yep. Definitely. But I like that Jason likes jazz as his favorite Queen album. I like that because there's a lot of great deep cuts on that album.
Mm.
Of course, yeah, I saw that.
That's right. Tomorrow, me, Jason, and Adam are ranking the Led Zeppelin catalog,
Cool.
and I can redeem myself for missing the Led Zeppelin 2 review.
Yes. Are we gonna do the ranking on Garrett's channel too, or are you guys just gonna do it on What the Gym?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Um,
with the rate that we're doing our reviews in, by the time we're done with our reviews, would be like 6 months from now, probably. I don't know, because it took like over a little tiny bit over a month to from the first Queen album review to the second ones. Not Queen, Led Zeppelin.
hmm. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, my ranking will probably change by the time we do it on Garrett's channel because there's definitely two albums I'm not as familiar with. That, of course, is Led Zeppelin 3 and Presence. Like, actually had to I had to pretty much first time listen to those two albums in full for the ranking. So I have a ranking now, but maybe when we do it on Garrett's channel, it'll probably change. So we'll see.
Yeah, that seems fair. Adam asked us to do Led Zeppelin ranking lately.
Oh yeah, that's right. I know there's one person who's doing a contest on, and you have to rank the Led Zeppelin albums. Like I'm
Yeah,
not, yeah, I'm not gonna do it because I'm kind of already doing it. But it's kind of funny how that happened around the same time.
yeah. Uh, yeah, I actually, yeah, Led Zeppelin, they're also great. I will say I do like Queen a lot better than Led Zeppelin in a
Same,
lot of
yeah.
parts. Like there's like a lot of parts that I think Led Zeppelin's better, but there's even more parts of Queen that I like better than Zeppelin. Because like I will say is that Led Zeppelin in their first one, like the first, second, and fourth album are not exactly the most daring. Like they don't really venture that much on their first, second, and fourth album. They're great albums, but if I had to compare Queen's first five albums compared to Led Zeppelin's first five albums, you could definitely tell that Queen's doing a lot more, in terms of like experimenting, being versatile, and stuff like that. I will say Houses of the Holy, I'd say, is just as much like innovative as A Night at the Opera is. Like both are going like, you have songs like Jamaica, No Quarter, stuff like that. Who knows? I might, I might do A Day at the Races versus what's called House of the Holy one day.
That'd be interesting.
That is interesting. I'm gonna have to get rid of two tracks though, which on my second, if not my favorite Queen album, it's gonna be very difficult to get rid of two songs on that album.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably do what I did with this one, where I'm gonna get rid of one song from each side. Yeah, that would be weird. But I'm speaking of music, I heard, well, on the group chat, I'm so glad Garrett's starting to really like the Birds.
Oh.
Thanks to us.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's good. Speaking of the Birds, I did end up buying that 5-pack Birds pack that you have. It's actually supposed to come today, so looking forward to it.
Did you get volume 1 or volume 2?
Volume 2.
Cool. Yeah, it's the one with Sweethearts of the Rodeo, right?
Yes.
Cool.
I'm eventually gonna own most. Yeah, it's kind of a shame it doesn't include Untitled, but I guess I can understand why it wasn't included.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. But you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess I can see why Garrett's not too big on Sweethearts of the Rodeo.
Yeah.
Like I said it on the group chat, it's not an album that everyone's gonna love. Me and you just happen to be the two people who really like that album.
Yeah, and I'd say I'm more kind of in the middle. I wouldn't say I love it, but
no, I didn't say you like it, but yeah.
Yeah, I did enjoy it, but it's definitely where I'm probably only going to go back to like certain songs. Like I don't know if I'm going to listen to the whole album through. But yeah, there's some good songs in it.
That's fair. Yeah, all four of us kind of have different opinions on it. Garrett just doesn't like it. Jason, I'd assume he just thinks it's an
I don't think he's heard
album.
it yet. I don't think he's heard it.
I think you think it's a good album, not great. I think it's an amazing album. So all four of us are we all have different opinions on it. No. But yeah. I know the three of us all could agree. Well, Jason has to listen to Younger Than Yesterday again, but the three of us agree that Younger Than Yesterday is the best Birds album.
Yeah, I would say so.
Definitely their Sgt. Pepper's in terms of creativity. But that was fun. This was a very fun video to make. Very nice discussion that we ended up making.
Yeah, we went on for an hour. That's cool. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. But our next video either is a Queen ranking, 15 albums, or the next Birds review. And I know there's gonna be some people that are gonna be happy that we're taking a break from doing the Birds reviews, because the past like 4 or 5 videos had just been the Birds reviews. So nice break from that. Always nice to take a break from doing a series continuously.
Yeah, that's what I do on my channel. I have like 2 ongoing series, but sometimes I'll break from both of them. Do something different. Take a break.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'd love to do either. I'll let you decide next week on Saturday. Like either we do a queen ranking or just continue the series with the birds. It's all up to you. I could go either way because I'm excited to talk about the next birds review because I because I feel a little bad for talking bad about the birds with bird maniacs. I want to talk about how good they are again, but
Okay.
at the same time I want to really show my list of birds albums.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do the
I mean,
birds. Let's do the birds next week, and then we'll do the queen after. We'll kind of alternate.
cool. I will before I end it. I will say I was very happy that I found that Birds album,
Mm,
the reunion
yeah.
album. I was very doubtful I was ever going to get that. I was even going to say like, yeah, we both might not have the album for the review, but I found it at the record store. I'm like, okay, great.
Oh, yeah.
One of us
Yeah.
could have it now.
Yeah. That's interesting because I know at my record store, yeah, they actually had a couple. They actually had 3 of the reunion album. So yeah, that record store seems always has like a lot of the later period bird stuff. They don't really have much of the early stuff.
Yeah, probably because their early period stuff is more popular.
Yeah, they get sold out. So obviously the old later stuff gets left.
Hmm. Definitely. Well, that should be the end of the video. Like I said, very great discussion. Check out Briar's Music Showcase if you haven't. I know most of my viewers are from his channel or just Jason or Garrett. So obviously, mostly everyone's gonna know. Everyone knows Briar's channel, but anyone who hasn't watched this video, definitely check him out. He's a great YouTube channel. The 73 is good, so is further along. Yep, very excited to review both of those albums.
Good to know. Good to know Zeb likes them.
Yeah. Also, yet again, happy birthday to John Deacon. Amazing Queen member. My favorite Queen songwriter. Okay, I couldn't say his vocal ability is great because he hasn't sung on any of the tracks, so.
Not really.
Yeah. But yeah, nice to say that, and see you guys in the next video. So long.